So, good morning to all of you. And today's, let me continue the DBMS class. Already we have seen the components of entity relationship diagram. So that is the entities, attributes, and relationships. Okay, these are the three components are there in entity relationship diagrams. And already we have come across what kind of entities we do have with us. Okay, already we have come across what kind of entities we do have with us. Already we have seen, and strong entity is there, weak entity is there, and associate entity is there. Three different types of entities are available here, and these three different types of entities are very much useful to represent your tables in entity relationship diagram, or otherwise it is also able to yes, voice cutting in the sense it is fully rain is there in my place, so that is why voice might be not that much clear. I think. I think so. Probably it could be okay after some time. It could be okay. However, so already we have seen what is strong entity and what is weak entity and associate entity. I'd like to give you after some time because you must know. You must know the relationships. Unless you are not supposed to know about relationships, you could not explain what is associate entity. And coming to second point, the point is very important because attributes are playing a vital role in any kind of entity relationship diagram. Not exactly ER diagrams. In any kind of computer science applications, attributes are playing a vital role. In database management systems, they are called as attributes, and in all other systems, let me say object-oriented, functional-oriented, or any other kind of programming languages are there. They are called as attributes. So these are playing a vital role in terms of doing some kind of work with any application. So here attribute in the sense special characteristic of the unique characteristic of that particular entity. So we do have many unique characteristics for one particular entity. For example, if you consider student does have student roll number, student name, address, and so on and so forth. All these are different kinds of attributes which are available with us. Then how many kinds of attributes are available as far as the entity relationship diagram is being concerned here? First kind is simple versus composite attribute. Okay. Then second one is single valued versus multi-valued attribute. And third one is stored versus derived attributes. So here I'd like to concentrate on one particular point here. So this single valued, simple, or stored, or so simple. These are same. Because of explaining about the composite, because of explaining about the multi-valued, because of explaining about this derived, so we have taken its opposite word. That is the only point you'd like to consider here. So simple value in the sense, what do you mean by simple value or single valued or stored in the sense, an attribute which cannot be able to divide for further. An attribute which cannot divide by for further will be called as simple attributes. Let me consider, I'd like to take one example here. That example is a register number, REZD, so NO. Let me take one notepad. It could be somewhat better while writing using mouse will be somewhat. So if you consider this particular register number, so you could not divide this register number into further. Okay, it is not possible to divide. So register number is always seems like this: 9, 18, A1, 1A0. So 501 could be the register number of U, and so it could not be divided into further pieces. So that is why it is called as simple attribute or single valued attribute or so stored attribute. Okay, so there is a specification for stored attribute. Let me explain what is that when situation demands us. And let me consider one more thing: course join. course join. For example, if you take this one, people will be joined in one particular course and it could not be divided into further. Similarly, salary of one particular employee, salary of an employee, it's also not possible to divide into further. So therefore, all these kinds of attributes will be called as single valued attributes, otherwise simple attributes, otherwise stored attributes. Okay, so in this way it could be seems. So how an attribute can be represented here in the sense, attribute can be represented like this. In vowel shape, we have to represent our attribute here. So look at this. So in vowel shape, this is the way of representation of one particular attribute in uh, in entity relationship diagrams. Okay, this is the way of representation of one particular attribute, and you are expected to write your attribute name here in all caps letters. Let me say REZD underscore NO. Let me write something like this. Then it could be seen in such a fashion. Like this, it has been stored here. So unless otherwise, I'd like to increase the size, then you could able to see very let me go ahead with 24. Yeah, so look at this. In this way you have to store your data, so that is why, so it is called as an attribute, and attribute could be represented in this particular fashion here. Okay, then followed by, this is general definition of an attribute here, general definition. Then we do have many, as many number of attribute kinds are there. First one is a composite attribute. What do you mean by composite attribute? Previously, people have some kind of idea regarding to mathematics, composite mathematics. Composite mathematics in the sense it is combination of several things, not exactly one. It is combination of several things. Composite in the sense, composite kind of thing will be dictionary meaning for composite is combination of several items. So combination in the sense, so an attribute which could be able to split into several number of further attributes. It could be able to split into several number of further attributes. Let me consider, let me take one example here. So for example, a particular attribute is address. If you take address, normally people will write something like this. If you have asked anybody will ask you, so what is the address of yours, in the sense you may be specify, so some hash 3 dash some 45 followed by your street name. Street name may be ABC Street, followed by your town. Let me say Macharla, MCL. Let me write it. It's better to write MCL. Followed by what is your state or district, Guntur district. Followed by what is your state, Andhra Pradesh. What is your pin code? Some 522426, something like this. You may be right. All these things will be combinedly considered as an address here. But here, if you observe carefully, so each and every word, so let me say hash 3-35 will be one particular word, and this is related to your door number, and this is your street. So this is your street, and this is your town, district, and then state, and then pin code. So address could be able to divide it into many number of pieces. It could be able to divide it into many number of pieces, and each individual piece will be represented a separate kind of value. So one piece to another piece. Let me say this is one particular piece. This is another piece. This is another piece. So this piece cannot be equal to this particular piece, or this attribute cannot be equal to this attribute. So state cannot be equal to district. District cannot be equal to street. Street cannot be equal to pin code. Something like this. So if all these things will be combinedly written by you, then that kind of thing is called as a composite attribute. If composite attributes might be there in our design, then obviously redundancy will be gets increased. So for that reason, the composite attributes must be eliminated from our actual design here. However, that is the point of normalization. When normalization will comes to our discussion, then we would like to discuss each and everything at that particular time. However, how a composite attribute could be defined here. Obviously, composite attribute could also be defined in the similar fashion only. So let me consider the same kind of definition here. So let me take, how would I copy this one? Yeah, look at this. This is the actual attribute here. Let me say address. Okay, this is actual attribute. And if you are trying to specify this is a composite attribute, it is a composite attribute. So like this, you have to specify. So it could be able to divide it into several number of pieces, something like this. Okay, so this is first one is door number, door number. Okay, first one is door number. Second one is street, and the third one is I'd like to specify only one or two. So this is town or whatever, maybe whatever village or town you could specify whatever one, and a district, and you can specify more and more. Okay, more and more could also be specified, and all these things will be combined together by using so one particular line. A line can be taken into consideration. So like this, you have to combine. Okay, it must be straight line like this. Okay, like this. So you could able to combine something like this. Then this is called as composite attribute. Okay, let me take into consideration. Okay, like this. This is a composite attribute. Okay, like this. So now the composite attribute could be represented in such a fashion here. So let me draw at our PowerPoint presentation, then that could be somewhat easy to understand by you. So look at this. So an attribute could be always represented something like this. And this is attribute, composite attribute in the sense. So an attribute which could be further divided into many number of pieces, something like this. Many number of pieces, something like this. Then it is called as a composite attribute. Okay, it is called as composite attribute here. As far as the realistic example will be seen in such a fashion here. Address is your actual attribute, and this attribute could able to divide it into many number of other pieces. Those pieces will be door number, street, town, district, pin code. Of course, you could put any number of values over there here. So this is the representation of composite attribute, which could be there in entity relationship diagrams. Okay, and further multi-valued. So composite in the sense an attribute which can be further divided into many number of individual pieces, individual simple attributes. Okay, don't say it is piece, it is simple attribute. An attribute which could be able to divide it into so individual number of pieces, individual number of simple attributes, and that attribute could not be further divided. So that is called as composite. Whereas multi-valued, if you consider multi-valued attribute, so obviously an attribute which could be stored more than one value at any moment of time. An attribute which could be stored more than one value at any moment of time. So let us consider, let me go ahead with the notepad again. So here you could consider, you may be come across with these kind of attributes in your discussion, that is mobile number. People are maintaining 2 or 3 mobile numbers with them, and then email id. So people are maintaining so 3 or 4 different kinds of mail IDs, and so on and so forth. So mobile number will be one kind of multi-valued attribute. Mobile number could be, so how many number of values you are supposed to store into this particular mobile number. So it must be considered as same value. Let me say 988 something like this. This is one particular value, and for example 96520204000, it is another value. So if you consider this is a mobile number, this is second one is another mobile number, and so on and so forth. Everything is the same, but as far as this particular mobile number attribute, it could be able to store so more than one value of same type. More than one value of same type. Type will be same. So if you consider this email ID, so let me consider so a@gmail.com and so b@yahoo.com. Otherwise a, let me say my name only. So a@ yahoo.com. So these two are belongs to me only. So as and when I have to give my email IDs, I maybe give these two to the people so that they maybe communicate with me over Yahoo and Gmail. So therefore, I could get the information from the other people. So I am maintaining more than one value. So these two values are same. These two are the mail IDs only. So similarly, that kind of data which is being maintained by you, so such kind of the discussions will be called as multi-valued attributes. Okay, multi-valued attributes. So how multi-valued attributes will be represented here? Multi-valued attributes must be represented with so double line, with double line, something like this. Okay, so in Glyphy it is not possible to draw the double line here. Let me try to draw here whether it is possible or not. Let me check it out. So double line is not there actually. No, double line is not there. So however, let me copy this one and paste one more time, then it will becomes as a double line. So it seems like this. Okay, if you are supposed to specify something like this, then this kind of attribute will be called as a multi-valued attribute. Hope that you do understand the difference between these two. So composite attribute must be able to divide it into several number of further simple attributes, and multi-valued attribute will be stores more than one value of same type. Type will be same, but you have to store more than one value. So such kind of things are called as multi-valued attributes here. Okay, so examples will be, the address will be composite, and the mobile number, email ID, and if any other things will be there, Skype ID, any other things will be there with you. So all those things will be called as multi-valued attributes here. Okay, multi-valued attributes will be seems like that. Then stored versus derived. Stored versus derived. Let me define what is stored first, then I will go for derived here. Stored in the sense, an attribute which does have its own value. If you consider any attribute, so if you have your that particular attribute does have its own value, then such kind of attributes are called as stored attributes. Let me give you one particular example here, then you could understand very easily. So date of birth. Date of birth. This is the stored attribute because every person does have a date of birth, and this date of birth will be, of course, you may be given date only. So date of join, for example, date of join into service. It's also one of the attribute which does have its own value. Okay, and then followed by, already we have taken one particular query in our SQL. That query will be, so I have one table with me. The table will be called as EMP, and we have taken one particular query here. Select count star from EMP. What exactly it could be displayed? Number of employees. How many number of employees are there within the organization will be displayed over there. So look at this. All these things will be, date of birth is stored attribute because it does have its own attribute. Sorry, it does have its own value. And date of join, it does have its own value. And if you consider, so this particular count star, it could be displayed some number of how many number of people are existed within that organization could be taken into consideration here. So these are stored attributes, and based on this particular attribute, you could able to calculate one specific other value that is called as age of the person. If you have date of birth, then you could able to get age of the specific person. If you don't have date of birth with you, you could not identify what is the age of that particular person. And if you have date of join with you, then experience will be gets calculated. Okay, so experience in the sense, date of join, today's date minus date of join will be taken, how many number of years will be drawn. That is the experience of that particular fellow. Date of birth in the sense, so today's date minus date of birth date, so it will be taken, so a number of years will be gets displayed, so that will be the age of that particular fellow. So finally, date of birth is stored attribute, and by using this particular attribute, you have to get derived attribute, which is called as age. So similarly, date of join will be there with you, which is stored attribute. By using this particular attribute, you could get one more another value, that is experience. Normally, age and experience cannot be existed in our table. If you have stored attribute using some kind of formula, so you could able to get the experience here. Let me show you one small example, then you could understand very easily. You could understand very easily. Let me show you. Okay, look at this. So here, pages will be 50. Okay, it is set pages 50 and set lines 100. Look at this. Select everything from EMP. So this is the data which is available with me. Hire date in the sense join date, date of join. So let me calculate. So select so employee name, comma months between MONTHS between so SYS DAT system date, comma hire date. So actually our attribute name is hire date here. Look at this, hire date, system date in the sense today's date minus so months between, how many number of months between these two will be there, divided by 12. 12 in the sense divided by 12. Obviously it could be converted into number of years from so EMP. Okay, look at this. So Smith does have 39 years of experience. Alan does have 39 years of experience, and so on and so forth. So Scott does have 37 years of experience. He was joined into this organization so 37 years back, and he is having 38 years, and Adams has 39 years of 37 years of experience, and so on and so forth. Okay, so like this, you could able to get the specific value, but you could not have experience field or attribute into your table here. Okay, round. Let me operate round here, and then it could be very easy to understand. Let me take this one here. Okay, so look at this. 40 years of experience of Smith and so on and so forth. This particular value cannot be existed in our table. You could not find 40 years, 35 years, 39 years could not be there with you. You have only so one particular value, that is hire date. Based on the hire date, you have operated this particular function. Otherwise, this particular operation will be operated by you on so-called hire date here. So therefore, you could get some particular value. That value is called as experience. Okay. So like this, you have to get one particular value. I mean, you need to operate one particular expression on so existed attribute, so that you could get a new attribute here. So that this particular new attribute will be called as derived attribute. You have to follow, or you have to operate some kind of formula or some kind of expression on existed attribute, so that you could get derived attribute here. Then how could you represent this derived attribute here? Derived attribute, stored attribute will be as it is. So this is a stored attribute. Let me say, so date of birth, DOB, date of birth. And based on this one, you could get the derived attribute. Derived attribute will be always specified so with so dotted line. Hope that this is dotted line. Based on this particular stored attribute, you could get the derived attribute, that is age. Age will be derived attribute. Remember, age could not be existed in our table. It could not be existed in our table. So how could you get the age in the sense? Based on some expression, based on some formula which is being operated on date of birth, you could get the age. So that it is the derived attribute and it is the stored attribute here. Okay, hope that you got idea regarding to composite, multi-valued, and derived attributes here. Then followed by key attribute. Key attribute. Already we have seen key attribute in the sense it is the attribute which could be plays a vital role throughout the database management system. If you do have a key attribute, then it does have two properties. One is it is not able to take any null values. Null values will be strictly prohibited, and null values will be strictly prohibited, and duplicates also so strictly prohibited. These two are strictly prohibited here. Okay, if you are supposed to enter some value, that must not be equal to previous values, and if you enter null value, it is also not accepted. So that is why it is called as key attribute. Then how could you represent a key attribute in database, I mean entity relationship model here? Obviously, attribute in the sense it is a vowel shape, and let me consider a register number, otherwise employee ID, otherwise whatever the account number in banking system, account number, whatever it may be, anything will be called as a key attribute here. Let me take a register number, your information system, that is REGD, so NO, so register number. So this register number must be underlined. So how it could be done here in the sense, let me go for Glyphy here, then it could be very easy to understand here. Okay, so let us consider, so if I would write something like this, REZD underscore NO, and it must be underlined. If it is underlined, then you have to understand this is the key attribute. Unnecessarily, you are not supposed to underline for any attribute here. Unnecessarily, you are not supposed to underline to any attribute here. So if you underline, then people will understand that yes, that is so a key attribute. That is a key attribute. So already we have studied what is primary key. We have already studied in our so SQL, I mean structured query language, so that it is not supposed to be explained again and again for you here. Already I have given here something like this. And these key attributes will be, so many number of keys are there here. Number one is primary key. Number two is candidate key. Number three is foreign key. Okay, foreign key. So what is primary key? Already we have seen. Then what is candidate key? What do you mean by candidate key here? Candidate key in the sense, if one primary key activity, key activity, key what do you call? Primary key activity will be operated on more than one particular column, then such kind of keys will be called as candidate keys. Let me consider. So admission number also, so key attribute only, because so based on the admission number, you have to, if you have one admission number, second person could not have the same admission number, third person could not have the same admission number, though you may be taken your admission years back, same admission number cannot be given to the people. Okay, so look at this here, admission number is one key attribute, and so register number is another key attribute. Both will be combined into one particular attribute here. Then this is called as the candidate key. Okay, this is called as candidate key. So that is the importance of this particular candidate key here. Otherwise, as per theory, it is called as candidate key. So as per practical approach, if I would explain the practical approach here, then you maybe have some kind of confusion about this composite attribute. So that is why I just leave out that particular name. Candidate key in the sense combination of more than one key attributes, more than one primary key attributes. Okay, so that combination will be shown something like this: admission number, comma register number, both are key attributes only. And then let us consider so foreign key in the sense it could be able to so make some kind of relationship between two or more tables here. So how this could be specified here in the sense, already we have seen how these things will be specified in the previous classes here. Let me draw one more time for you, so to understand in a better way. Let me draw one more time here. So look at this. So there is a table something like this. There is a specific table something like this. So here one register number or one so key attribute might be there here. One key attribute will be there. This is the register number, and which is called as a parent table, which is a so parent. And one more table is there with us, and this particular table will be considered as a child table. So child table, which does have the same key will be there, a register number. so which is foreign key, and it does have some kind of relationship between these two here. So here for one particular row in parent, there are so you could able to define infinity number of values for this particular child table here, so that you could able to define foreign key constraint here. Then how could you specify the foreign key? Foreign key could be always specified like this. It is also be as like as key attribute. So normally foreign key will be available at the child table. Child table in the sense, so it is weak entity, because so if you want to enter some kind of data into this particular child table, you must be ensure that so-called data will be available with the parent, so that it is called as weak entity. Normally foreign key attributes will be existed on weak entities. However, so you may be draw how this could be drawn into the CR diagrams in the sense, let me specify, so register number, so this register number will be double underline. If you specify double underline, then that will be considered as foreign key. See, in some other textbooks, you may be also observe this one here. So register number. Otherwise, I am talking about only register number. Whatever the foreign key you have with you as per your design, so that could be. So here sometimes it could be. So just wait for a while. So it could be dotted line also. It could be sometimes it could be a dotted line also. So if you have a dotted line with you, then obviously that could also be considered as so foreign key, either double underline or dotted line. Anything will be considered as so foreign key here. Normally EF code, the person who invented this RTBMS concept, he was given this particular kind of notation. Okay, people will be follow this particular kind of notation only. Okay, these are the different kinds of key attributes here. Okay, primary key, candidate key, and foreign key. So these are the key attributes here. Then followed by so null attribute. Already I have given the information regarding to nulls. So when nulls will be accepted here in the sense, so null attributes will be always existed if you do not have any value for that particular instance of time. For instance of time, you don't have any value with you, then such kind of attributes will be called as null attributes, and these null attributes cannot be represented using ER diagrams. Cannot be represented. There is no, there is no picture, there is no diagram for null attributes here. Okay, and then complex attributes. Complex attributes in the sense combination of either of these in the composite, multivalued, or derived. If you combine two into single attribute, then that will be called as a complex attribute. Okay, if you combine anything, let me say, so let me consider complex attributes will be written something like this. So communication, how do you communication? Okay, ADDR for communication, address for communication. How could you give in here in the sense? First one is address will be given. Second one is email ID also given, and the third one is so phone number or cell number also given. If you are supposed to specify these many into one particular address, that address will be called as so address for communication. So here you could see this is one composite attribute and two multivalued attributes. Okay, two multivalued attributes and one composite attribute will be combined together, will be called as address for communication. So address for communication is complex attribute. Okay, so combination of so these three, either composite, multivalued, or derived. Normally derived attribute cannot be there here. Composite and multivalued will be combined together, will be called as so complex attribute. So these are different kinds of attributes which are available with us. And let me draw for our understanding point of view, let me draw all the diagrams at a stretch here. So this is attribute, simple attribute. Okay, this could be attribute, and the composite attribute in the sense attribute will be having several number of so things, something like this. So this is called as a composite attribute, and this is called as a multi-valued attribute. Multi-valued attribute will be always a double-lined vowel shape. This is called as multi-valued attribute. And if you consider key attribute will be so having the data. Name of the attribute must be underlined, and the composite attribute in the sense too many number of primary key values must be specified here. That is called as a composite. And then foreign key attribute in the sense, so this is the way to specify foreign key. So double underline must be specified by you. That is a composite. And complex attribute in the sense, so something like this. So something like this. So it does have. Wait very well. Just I must draw somewhat. Must take some space here. So complex attribute must be seems like this. So it does have something like this. One composite attribute, something like this, composite attribute. And you maybe have any number of composite attributes. There is no problem at all. Okay, multi-valued and another multi-valued. Of course, you could specify another multi-valued. And if you have any other thing, something like this, it's also be written by you. There is no problem at all. And things will be seems like this. This is called as complex attribute. Okay, so attribute, composite attribute, multi-valued attribute, then derived. Okay, I have forgotten to draw the derived attribute here. So it is a stored attribute. Stored attribute is as like as attribute here. Based on this one, you could get a derived attribute something like this. Is the derived attribute. Dotted line. You must draw the dotted line. This is called as derived attribute. Okay, derived attribute. And then key attribute. This is key attribute, and this is composite key, candidate key, and this is foreign key, and this is complex attribute here. So in this way, you could able to specify your attributes in your entity relationship diagram. Okay. I'm running out of the time. Only 1 minute is available. So we will be continue our class in the next hour. Okay.